Have you ever stayed in a friendship that drained you simply because you didn't want to hurt anyone? Hello, and welcome back to the Marvellous-U podcast. In this episode, we will be talking about friendship struggles. A popular song that came to mind when I was preparing for this episode was about friends. Friends won't be around. Friends will let you down when you need them most. Where are your friends? Let's talk about friendship today. I'd like to share a personal reflection on outgrowing friendships. Through the different stages of my life, there have been friendships that I've maintained up till this moment, and some friendships that I've outgrown. So in different stages of my life, I had to redefine my relationships and truly outgrow some friendship. And there are many reasons why we outgrow our friendship. And in this episode, I'll be talking through a lot of these reasons. As I became older, I realized that a lot of the friends that I had when I was younger, because of a change of location, I don't relate to them as much anymore. And the friends that I had as teenagers, while I'm still in touch with them, but in a way, our lives have drifted apart. Our identities have changed. And more recently, as I have started becoming and evolving, my friendship has also changed. So in every stages of our lives, just like in my own life, I have seen that my friendship have changed. And recently, I've been very intentional about the friendships that I've allowed in my life. Friendship will change over time, but sometimes there is the silent tension, the emotional drain, and the hard decision to let go. Because as much as we want to maintain friendship, protecting your peace doesn't make you a bad friend. It makes you a healthy one. In this episode, we will explore toxic friendships, emotional boundaries, and how to let go without guilt while protecting your peace and your growth. If you have ever felt drained by a friendship, this episode is for you. Let me say this. Not everyone who works with you is meant to stay with you. There is a popular quote. I don't know who made this quote, but the quote says, friendship or friends is either for a season, for a lifetime, or for a moment. Not every friendship is meant to last a lifetime. Some are just there for a season. We all need friends in our lives, and growing up we all had friends. But if you look back, why do friendship change? Have you ever looked at a friendship and thought, we didn't fight, so why does this feel different? What has changed? There's no argument, no big moment, and suddenly just distance. It doesn't mean something went wrong. It usually means something changed. And the reason friendship change is because people change. In psychology, identity is not fixed. Our values, our priorities, and our emotional needs evolve over time. And here is the truth. Relationships are built around shared identity. So when identity evolves, friendships must either adapt or end. And that is not failure. That is development. One major reason for friendship shift is growth. When you start healing, or you are becoming more self-aware, or choosing peace, you often outgrow relationships that you had previously that were built on trauma bonding. Maybe something happened that brought you together. It could be a negative news or a loss of a loved one. or relationship that was built on complaining or chaos or people pleasing. For example, you used to bond over negativity. Now you just want calm, purpose, and emotional safety. And this creates tension. Not because anyone is wrong, but because the foundation has changed. If what brought you together before is no longer there, the friendship fizzles out. And in psychology, we call this the value divergence. This is when your internal compass no longer points in the same direction. And so growth will often change friendship. Another reason why friendship will change is because of life stages. And life stages quietly reshapes our friendship. At different points in our life, people will have different capacities. It's either one person is building a career, another is focused on healing, or someone else just wants freedom, while another wants stability. And in a previous episode, when I mentioned the different developmental stages of our life, by Erickson, we can see that as life stages changes, our priorities and our friendship will change. And this is not about effort, it's just about alignment. As our responsibilities grow, we naturally become more selective with our energy. And psychologists call this social pruning. Some friendships no longer serve us as we go through various stages of life. For many, the friends that they had when they were teenagers are no longer the friends that they hold dear now. So the different stages of our life, our careers, will all change and reshape our friendships. When many of us become mothers, our time becomes limited. Our energy becomes guarded and priorities become non-negotiable. If you are a mother listening to this, you understand what I'm talking about. The mother's identity has shifted, and not everyone understands that shift. Friendship can change drastically because it's not just about you anymore. You now have children to think about. Love may still be there, but the structure of the relationship changes. And that is not usually rejection. That is evolution. And some people, they kind of drift away when you become a mother because they feel that, you no longer love them. No, it's just a change of identity. One of the other reasons why friendship will change is when you start setting boundaries. Setting boundaries usually will test any relationship because boundaries change dynamics. When you start saying no without guilt, or you stop over explaining yourself, or you are protecting your energy, some friendship will either deepen while others will fall apart. Why? Because boundaries reveal who respected you and who just benefited from your lack of them. Psychologically, boundaries shift power dynamics, and not everyone is willing to adjust. Some people will not like you when your boundaries change. When you start protecting yourself more, it reveals those that were with you all along, those who respected you and those who didn't. How does identity change relationship? Here is the core truth. You can't expect relationship built for an old version of you to support the new version of you. As our identity evolves, our relationship will naturally change. And it needs to change. Your communication also will change. And so is your tolerance. Because some friendship will grow with you, while others, like I said, may only have been met for a season. And that doesn't make them meaningless. It just means that if your friendship has changed, you just have to ask yourself, who was I when this friendship began? Think about all of these factors that I've mentioned for why friendship will change. It could be either one of these. Ask yourself, who am I now? Does this connection honor who I'm becoming? Because sometimes the heaviest thing you can do is to allow a friendship to end without blaming anyone, including yourself. Because growth is not loss. Growth is life unfolding. Now let's talk about toxic friendship. Because not all of them are obvious. What are the signs that the relationship you're keeping is toxic? Some of these signs are not loud. Some don't involve big fights or big fallouts. Some of these look completely normal on the outside, but leave you feeling drained on the inside. And if you have ever thought, am I overreacting? You are probably not. What actually makes a friendship toxic? A toxic friendship isn't about one bad moment. It's about a pattern. A pattern where the emotional exchange that you have consistently feels unhealthy. As we go through these signs, I want you to gently ask yourself, how do I feel after interacting with this person? That answer matters, so pay attention. One of the first signs of a toxic relationship or a toxic friendship that I want to mention is constant criticism or comparison. So let's start from here. I would like to ask a question. Do you have a friend who always has something to say about your choices? Is either your body, your progress, your life? It might be framed as honesty. I'm just being real with you. I'm only saying this because I care. But instead of feeling supported, you feel small or defensive or like you're never quite enough. Or maybe they are always comparing you. They compare your timeline to theirs, your life to someone else. Pause and reflect. Ask yourself this question. Do I feel encouraged or insecure after talking to this person? Do I feel like I have to explain or defend myself often? Healthy friendships don't compete, they uplift. And when you find yourself in a relationship when it feels like you are competing instead of uplifting and upholding each other, that relationship is toxic. Another sign of a toxic relationship is what I call a one-sided effort. And this one, for me is big. I don't believe that every relationship should be one-sided. So ask yourself, are you the one that's always checking in or starting a conversation or holding space for their emotions? But then when it's your turn, the energy shifts. You see that the reply gets shorter, the support feels rushed, or your feelings feel like an inconvenience. Friendship don't have to be perfectly equal, but it should be mutual. So ask yourself, if I stop trying, would this friendship still exist? And that is one good test for me, for any relationship that is one-sided. Do I feel emotionally drained trying to maintain this connection? If the answer is yes, that is information. You have your answer. No relationship should be one-sided. And if you feel like you are the only one putting in all of the effort, then stop and pause and then reflect on these questions that I've asked. The third sign is a lack of support during hard seasons. When you are going through difficult moments, pay attention to who shows up when life gets uncomfortable. Some friends are present when things are light and fun, but they disappear when you are struggling, or you are grieving, or you are overwhelmed. You might hear, words like, you're always going through something. I beg, I don't want negative energy. I'm using my local slang here. Or what you hear is silence. You don't even get anything from the person. Reflect on this. Who checks on you when things aren't going well? Or ask yourself, who checks on me when things aren't going well? Do I feel safe being vulnerable with this person? Support shouldn't be conditional on you being okay. When you have a true friend, whether you're okay or not, you should feel their support. Another sign of a toxic friendship is guilt tripping or emotional manipulation. And this one is very subtle but yet powerful. A friend who guilt trips you might say, after everything I've done for you, you have changed so much. Or they will say, I guess I care more than you do. Instead of trying to understand you, they make you feel bad for having needs or boundaries. And Psychologically, this keeps you stuck because guilt overrides self-trust. Because you keep questioning yourself and feeling bad because they guilt trip you. So ask yourself, do I feel guilty for setting boundaries with this person? Do I shrink myself just because I want to keep the peace? Healthy friendship allow boundaries without punishment. So when you have friends that do not respect your boundaries, but then they guilt trip you to make you feel bad for setting those boundaries, that is toxic. That is not true friendship. I want you to think about all of these signs that I've mentioned. And here is the truth. If a friendship leaves you feeling anxious, unseen, or emotionally exhausted more often than supported, that matters. You need to think and reflect on it. Because it's not about you being too sensitive. You are not too sensitive. You are not selfish. And you are not disloyal for paying attention. So sit with this question. Does this friendship feel safe for the person I'm becoming? You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to outgrow people. And you are allowed to want friendship that feel mutual, supportive, and emotionally honest. It's not asking too much. It's asking for something healthy. Because your friendship should not drain you. Your friendship should help you to become all that you are supposed to be. How do we handle a relationship that is toxic? Let's talk about what happens after you realize that your friendship might be toxic. Because the first thing is recognizing it, and then actually knowing what to do is another thing. It's another matter altogether. And no, handling a toxic friendship doesn't always mean cutting someone off overnight. Sometimes it starts much quieter than that. So, what is the first step? The first step is honesty. Acknowledge what you're feeling with yourself. If a friendship consistently leaves you anxious, drained, or guilty, don't ignore that. Those feelings are data that you should pay attention to. And I do that often. You don't need a dramatic reason to question a connection. Discomfort is enough. So ask yourself, how do I usually feel after interacting with this person? Your body often knows before your mind catches up. And I've had to do this often, and check with myself how I feel after having a conversation with someone. Acknowledging what you're feeling is the first step. It's about honesty with yourself. So how do you handle this? Step 1. One of the biggest mistakes people make in toxic relationship is over-explaining. So stop over-explaining yourself. You always feel the need to justify your boundaries, to soften your no, or to make sure you are not upset. Or not you, but them. You're trying to make sure that they are not upset. But here's the truth. People who respect you don't need long explanations. They should be able to understand, when you have decided to set boundaries. So instead of trying to over-explain yourself, try this instead. Short, clear responses. Maintain calm, consistent boundaries. And you don't have to go into long emotional essays. For example, I don't have the capacity for that right now. No follow-up required. Keep it short and simple. You really do not need to over-explain yourself. The second step is setting boundaries, and then watch the response when those boundaries are set. Because boundaries will reveal everything. You don't need to announce to them dramatically. Just start honoring your limits. Notice what happens when you say no, or when you take longer to respond to their messages, or when you stop emotionally overgiving. A healthy friend may need time to adjust, but they won't punish you for setting those boundaries. A toxic dynamic here often responds with guilt, with pressure or withdrawal, and that response gives you clarity. Another way you can handle toxic relationship is adjusting your expectation, and this part is hard, but it's freeing. Because sometimes handling a toxic friendship doesn't mean ending it just means redefining it. So sometimes you might stop sharing deeply, you limit contact, or keep conversations at the surface level. Some friendships or relationship in my life are here at this level because sometimes you have to redefine your relationships, because not everyone needs to get full access to you. And this also has to do with who you are becoming. Ask yourself, what level of closeness feels safe for you right now? Or feels safe for me right now? Let that guide you. Another way to handle toxic friendship is choosing distance without drama. And this is one of my best go-to. Because distance doesn't have to be loud. You don't always owe people closure speeches or long explanations. Especially if you have already tried to communicate and nothing changed. You are allowed to step back quietly. Distance can be an act of self-respect, not cruelty. And the fifth step in handling toxic relationship is letting go of guilt. And this is what many people struggle with most, guilt. When you have gone through all of these steps, you might think I'm being selfish, but no, you are preserving your peace and respecting yourself. So let go of guilt. Let go of the guilt. Accept that outgrowing people is not betrayal. And communicate honestly but kindly when you need to. But you don't need to over-explain yourself. And create emotional distance where it is needed. You don't need to make any long announcement or long speeches about it. Sometimes you need to create those distance and then release friendship that no longer align. Because remember, as I said, as you go through the stages of life, as your priorities change, as your identity changes, some friendship will grow with you, but others will naturally fizzle out. So any friendship that no longer serves you, that no longer align, let go. Caring deeply does not make you responsible for carrying relationships that hurt you. And choosing yourself doesn't mean that you stop loving others. It means you started listening to yourself. And this is where I have found myself many a times. But sometimes you need to choose yourself. So if you are here feeling like you are not sure where your friendship is taking you, it's okay. It's okay if you are still unsure. It's okay if you are not ready to let go yet. Awareness is already a step forward. Because sometimes healing doesn't look like confrontation or closure. Sometimes healing will look like distance or honesty with yourself and permission to change. I want to leave you with this question. Look at the friends you have in your life. Look at the friendship that you have. Does this friendship support the life and peace I'm trying to build? I want you to sit with that. You don't need an answer today. Just remember, outgrowing people doesn't erase the love that was real. It simply honors the version of you that exists now. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Share this episode with someone who might be slightly struggling or silently struggling in a friendship. Leave a review or comment. Your voice helps this conversation reach the people who need it most. And if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes on healing, growth, and emotionally healthy relationships. You are not alone in this. and you are allowed to choose peace. See you in my next episode. You are marvelous.